Chasing souls with fire inside, chasing dreams where the legends hide. Through the turns, the glory's real. Behind the wheel, we feel the thrill. Papa's house, the crown shines bright. Crazy lanes in the dead of night. Austin GT and Rick B's rain. Grim and the crew driving it insane. Erratic twists and Marley's groove. Hypnotic grace with every move. Jackal flies and jesters grin. This is the race where we all begin. C20 wave, birds the track. Dutchies roll, there's no going back. Worries pace and TQ stride. Nil and digit, the kingdom's pride. Papa's house, the crown shines bright. Crazy lanes in the dead of night. Austin GT and Rick B's rain. Grim and the crew driving it insane. Legends carved on asphalt's face. Racing royalty holds the space. We honor them, we join the scene. Our favorite racers, the speed supreme. Erratic twists and Marley's groove. Hypnotic grace with every move. Jackal flies and jesters grin. This is the race where we all begin. Erratic twists and Marley's groove. Hypnotic grace with every move. Jackal flies and jesters grin. This is the race where we all begin. Insane. 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 Hypnotic twists and Marley's groove. Hypnotic grace with every move. Jackal flies and jesters grin. This is the race where we all begin.
What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? It's your boy VKG back in the spot, back in the building, back in the hot seat. I hope everybody's well. Chris Wood, Iris, I see you, George, already in there on the chat. OP, what's up, brother? Good to see you guys, man. I love you guys. Thank you for coming in. We got a very, very, very special show today. We're going back to Chicago today, man, with the kingpin of the expo himself. I've been talking to this gentleman all week and having a great conversation for the past hour, getting to know this man. It's amazing kind of what this sim sport has brought me in touch to. I was kind of pointing out, like, I've been in sports and doing all these crazy things my whole life, and now that I'm in this sim community, it feels like I've made closer friends and had better connections than I ever have in my entire life. It's been an honor and a pleasure to get to know this man, and I'm excited to introduce him to you today. I want to take a moment, though, to point out the GoFundMe that's on the page right now. In case you guys don't know, Papa's House of Games recently experienced a devastating loss of his wife Susan, and we love her. We know she's an angel up above watching over us. So if you screenshot it, you zoom in on the screen, that'll take you to that GoFundMe. I believe last night they broke $7,000. So we're trying to give all the love and help support we can to Papa's House of Games. But in the meantime, we're gonna be here holding it down and streaming for Susan. But we love you, Papa, and we appreciate you, and we're rooting for you. To get back to the show, without further ado, man, I'd like to introduce to y'all Jorge Anzaldo. What's up, brother? Welcome to Behind the Wheel, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome. Yeah, it's great to catch up with you. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Dude, I'm excited. I always like to ask people, how's the weather like? What's the weather like in Chicago right now?
Dude, you know, we've actually had some warm days still. It's just now starting to get a little bit colder here as we get towards the evenings, but yeah, the sun's still out. I mean, it's good. The snow's not here, so
I know Chicago gets real cold. So, like, when do you guys get to like the movie style blizzards that we're used to hearing about Chicago?
You know what? I'd say like January, February. That's usually the times. I mean, we get, I don't know, the last few years we've had more cold than snow, which is awesome. But Yeah, I mean it's typically pretty cold here in Chicago. You know, the windy city. So yeah.
My mom was actually born in Grand Rapids and grew up in Chicago. My grandma lives out in Iowa. My brother's out in Iowa. So it's crazy. I have all these ties to Chicago, and the Sim Gaming Expo was the first time that I've actually stepped foot into or around Chicago. Didn't really get to go into it because all the Uber drivers were scared of like driving into it with everything that was going on. I know Chicago's kind of crazy right now, man. What's it like living out there?
You know what? It's an awesome place to live. I've been here my whole life. I mean, so that's 50 years now, and you know, I think honestly, I think Chicago gets a little bit of a bad rap in, you know, in the news and stuff. I think things sometimes get a little sensationalized. I mean, yes, I mean, we can't say that there isn't, you know, things that happen here in the city. And I would just compare it to any other big city here in the US. I mean, there's good things and bad things about every place, every city. I think there's far more good than bad here. And call me biased, but it's my home and I love it here. And yeah, you know, Chicago's my home. So it's,
And
yeah.
you get to see Chicago from like a different perspective, man. You're in
Yeah.
December, you're coming up on your 25th year with the Chicago Fire Department as a paramedic. Man, congratulations and kudos to you on that. You're going for 30, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 30 is the number that would basically give me like full seniority. And at that point, I'll, you know, hang up the boots or whatever and just yeah, move on to other things. But 30 years is plenty, I think. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's been a great career. um, you know, met a lot of people, been in a position to help people, and I think that's kind of, you know, just something that's in me. You know, I have that kind of like helper personality, and just I love connecting with people, and I think that that's also one of the things that, you know, makes the sim side of things so enjoyable for me, as well as like the expo and just bringing people
100%.
together. And it's obviously a much different perspective than, my, I guess you'd say, my day job for the last, 25
And
years.
that's crazy because you know what's funny is I just learned in this last week that you're a paramedic and and thank you for your service, man. We need more like you, and I'm sure just from knowledge of, like I was telling you, my biological father's a firefighter. I've grown up around firefighters and first responders. Like that is not an easy job. That is a full-time, full mental, physical job, and we appreciate you. And to be in a city like Chicago, I'm sure it's, there's never a dull moment out in that city. But it is beautiful. Like I've never been there, and flying over, the great, what is that, Lake Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah, flying over Lake Michigan, and it's crazy how shallow it is. Like when you're in the plane, you can see like the bottom in a lot of areas, and it's crazy. They said if you fly over it on like a small plane, you can see a bunch of shipwrecks and different things that are out there. But beautiful city, beautiful weather. Like I from Arizona, we don't get to see that kind of green or that kind of water. I felt like there was a lake everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a great perspective, and I mean, I've been to Arizona. It's beautiful there as well, but certainly like that's kind of cool. Like we get all seasons, and we get to enjoy all of that, and it's a great place. The Midwest, the Midwest in general, I think is just it's beautiful, and there's a lot to see and do. And then like just going back to the sim or like the motorsports side of things, I mean, the Midwest has such a rich history and tradition with motorsports. I mean, Indy 500, and you have the Milwaukee Mile. It's like the oldest racetrack ever, in
I think
America. It just
Chicago, didn't I hear that Chicago has like a NASCAR race in the city now
yeah.
or something like that?
Oh yeah, the street circuit, and then we also have Chicagoland Speedway. There's Iowa
Wow.
Speedway. I mean, just Mid Ohio. I mean, you name it. The
People like to be
Midwest.
outside when there's beautiful weather. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have our tracks, man, but sometimes going out to like Phoenix International Raceway and like
I
Tucson
love it.
Raceway, like it's so hot during the summer. And I've tracked bikes. Like I've grown up on motorcycles. I've been on motorcycles. I've had 17 bikes at this point. So I've been on the track a couple of times, and I've slid on asphalt that's hot, and I've slid on asphalt that's cold. And it's definitely, I prefer, a nice chill day. So I think you guys get a lot more of those, but we don't get the blizzards. We get the fires, but we don't get the blizzards. So it's crazy, you know, when you meet people who are like East Coast, West Coast perspectives. So I loved visiting over in Chicago. I didn't get to eat as much food as I like to eat, but I met a lot of amazing people. And I think, you know, again, when you're talking about, you know, liking to help people and watching you move around the trade show was really special. You're a master networker. Everybody had amazing things to say about you. Shout out to your family. I can't say enough about the group of people that you had out in the front, like the first people. And it's so important. You know, when you walk into a space like that, those are the first faces you see, and there's smiles on every single one of them. The sweetest people. So if you want to give a little shout out to the family real quick, I'm sure they'll see this.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, what can I say? You know, my wife, my sister, my sons, my sister-in-law, my closest friends. I mean, they were there. I think honestly, like their happiness and what you saw on their faces was just a reflection of just everything. Like they saw like the struggle, like just the amount of work. And I mean, I went through every single emotion. I mean, from like just straight up like tears, like wondering, is this thing going to happen? Like just the stress, like everything, like, and then seeing like the show come to life. And I think that was the other thing, like for them, like I was trying to explain to them my vision and what it was that I was trying to do. And, you know, I think they had an idea, but when they actually saw like the people coming in and just seeing how, like, again, like getting that vibe back from everybody, and I think they were just really happy for me, and
Oh,
and
for sure.
seeing what it was that together me, because again, without their support, this doesn't happen. So it was
Well,
just
I'm sure
it was
it
really
was
cool.
definitely a discounted labor force.
Yes, yes. And you know what? Like speaking of that, I mean, hats off. I mean, we call them the Sim Gaming Expo Builders Guild. And so
Oh,
it's
there you go.
basically it's a group of volunteers. Like when you see the competition cockpits, that does not happen without the Builders Guild. Like those
Oh, it was
guys.
crazy. Like the night before, because I came in early. It was nice having a little, you know, had
Yeah.
my special
Yeah, that's
guest
right.
pass, man. It was so
Yeah.
awesome. I appreciate you. Even the conversation leading up to the expo and complete strangers meeting. And I was like, hey, you know, I'd love to be there and love to support in any way possible. And you never know what you're walking into. But and you know, it's funny, a funny story leading up to this. I landed, I got in, I got over to the hotel, and when I GPSed it, like, you know, to get over to the Schomburg Center, it was like maybe 2 miles or what. It was
Yeah.
really close. And so I just like, okay, well, I'll walk. So I got dressed real quick and I started walking, and I realized like I had to go up and over the bridge and then back down because the highway was directly in the middle of us. So I actually walked like 40 minutes to the Schomburg Center on Thursday night when I got there. But it was crazy walking in there and seeing, you know, there's forklifts going around and there's everybody hustling and bustling trying to get this build together. None of the skirting was up. None of like the nice stuff that looked good was up. It was still boxes and boxes and wrapping and packaging and drills, and everybody like working so hard. And like I remember Jeff got up there, iRacing, like, and we started like helping people move stuff. Like I walked up to DOF's rig and he was still moving stuff. I got to help him, and then I got to try out the rig, which is awesome. But it seemed like you had to have, I mean, I don't know how many people were working at once, but dozens, 100, like.
It was a lot. I mean, obviously we had the assistance of Source One Events, who, you know, they're a general service contractor for the trade show industry. So we had them helping, as you know, they actually are part of the production of the show. So and then obviously the community members. Yeah, it was literally all hands on deck. And just also too, what was really just beautiful is seeing like other exhibitors were, you know, when they finished their booth, they would jump in and help other exhibitors get it set up. So it just felt like a family affair. I mean, it was really cool to see. And again, like just shout out to everyone who lended, you know, a helping hand to get the show set up. That first night, like we were still there. It was like 3 in the morning, and there were a few guys that were still there. And finally it was like, guys, look, no matter what, like we have to go. Like I can't keep you here anymore. Like
And
we
that
have
was
to
after
get
guys had
some
flown
sleep.
in. I met guys that hadn't
Oh,
even
yeah.
had any sleep yet.
Yeah.
Like the guy, I forget
Yeah.
where they were from, but you had rigs that were just in Germany. You had rigs that were just in London. Though a lot of those rigs have been flown out. And when you kind of understand, I guess, how trade show works and the dynamics and bringing all those pieces together to create that, like, what was that like? I'm sure the time crunch and mapping all that out must have been just chaotic.
Yeah, logistic heavy. I mean, really, there's no other way to describe it. Honestly, again, like with Outsource One events, I mean, they handled the majority of, if not pretty much all of, like the logistics. I mean, they had the warehouse, material handling. They kind of coordinated that controlled chaos, if you will, and really, I mean, made all of this possible. Like the one thing I think that we like the learning experience from that is that we need 2 days for movement, not
Yeah.
not one in like a couple hours in the morning. We need two
I
full
mean, the
days. So
NASCAR got in there like last minute, you know. I mean,
yeah,
even
yeah,
getting all the pinballs sent. I mean, because I was the night before, as opposed to the morning of the show. The floor looked completely different. You know, like you
yeah.
had everybody had to get up their skirt, and I mean, even saw on day two, guys were still bringing stuff in, and then you're hoping it all works. You know, and then I mean, this is tech. This is equipment. It was like, for me, going to that trade show was like going to an amusement park of technology. Like it was ride after ride after ride after ride. And people are, you know, they're cranking these machines up to like show them off, and you know, you're getting thrown around in the driven dynamics rig, and I was just fascinated how it all worked. You know, like it all came together. So shout out to those guys. We've talked to like Built PC, we've talked to SimCube, SimLab, SimCraft, Avini. You know, you had Tony Kanan there. You had Women's Internet. It's so many people there. Like, how did you, when you set out for this goal of like, first of all, like, how did this even spark in your head? We'll get back to you managing, you know, a full iRacing series for over a decade and all those things. But when did you decide, like, I need to bring an expo to Chicago?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think it really came about from the spirit of competition. So as you mentioned, I did run a league for about 10 years. It was called the Lionheart Racing Series. And during that time, you know, I created some relationships inside of the sim racing community. You know, we sought out various sponsorships with different brands, and we were able to connect with some really great companies. So the idea initially started like, hey, you know what? Like the esports thing is really taking off. I'm like, it'd be really, really cool to have like our league in some kind of like esports arena. And this way, like the guys can have like their championship race live with an audience. That's what I really wanted at first. And so then I'm like, well, you know, we have sponsors, like maybe they can showcase their products. And then it was like, well, oh, wait, we need more space. Well, if there's more space, we can have more brands. And if there's more brands, well, maybe, you know, maybe we can have this expo. And it just started snowballing and snowballing. And then ultimately it's like, you know, the whole thing again, like about bringing people together. Like that was, again, like competition and then bringing people together. Like those are the two things at the show's core that we wanted to achieve. And so that's where I also started thinking, well, how can we bring more people? I'm like, well, there's a whole big wide community of other sim gamers or sim enthusiasts out there. Like, why don't we bring all of these brands together? And that's the other thing. Like, I saw that there are a number of brands that, you know, they don't just make products for sim racing, they also make products for flight, and they make general like peripherals. Like when you think of companies like Turtle Beach, Thrustmaster, Logitech,
You had
Moza is in
Moza
the,
there, yeah. And I was to say,
yeah, yeah.
people are saying, you know, and thank you for clarifying one point for to me is this was pretty much the first North American gaming multi sim expo that happened. You had flight sim, it was really based on flight and racing simulator. I know we had the ping pong or the pinball and stuff out there too, but you had multi thousand, I mean, 50, $60,000 flight simulators, 80, 120, 250,000 racing $1,000 racing simulators. Like that was what was crazy is you help people, at least for me, it was my first experience on a lot of the sim racing stuff, but I'd never even touched flight sim.
Yeah, you know what? We really wanted to bring these communities together because ultimately, I think, and I've said this, many times, as sim enthusiasts, I believe that we're kind of all chasing the same thing, and immersion for me is what I believe, and I think the more real that we can make these sims, um, just the experience is that much more fulfilling. And so I think no matter what sim you're into, we just love the hardware, we love the tech, we love the realism. And so that was something that I felt that every sim enthusiast can get behind, regardless of the genre. So that was kind of the spark that wanted to bring like these communities together because I feel like we all just get it, like if you're into this stuff, you just kind of get it. Now, in terms of like the high end like motion platforms and everything, I was really blown away. I didn't exactly know what all these brands were bringing. I mean, you had like Simucube and GSI, and you had Corsair and Podium One and others.
Oh yeah.
Like they make other like GSI, like they make wheels, and Simucube, they make the
Yep.
wheelbases and the pedals and all. But then they teamed up with other brands, and they like were like, bam, here's the high end
Yeah.
motion sim, and they're like, oh yeah, well here's ours, and so they were all like bringing their
It was
their
crazy
their
to see
A game.
because they all
It was wild.
recognize like Simucube as like, you got to have these pedals, and I was warned going into the expo, like as soon as you touch those pedals, you're going to realize like, and they are amazing. But yeah, like Avini, Podium, Simcraft, SimLab, they were all running.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because what's really cool about this space is like you said, how everybody was willing to kind of work with each other and help with each other. And what was awesome is you could see guys in different polos from different companies on everybody else's different rig. Like I was over at the
Yeah.
PDK, and with who does the PDK? I'll think of their name right now. But you had Driven Dynamics; those guys were getting a kick out of that because in a big part of us is even those guys are developing those. Not all of them have a $250,000 rig in their house or an $80,000 rig. But when you got the PDK, when you got DOF, when you got all the guys who had some of the rigs that were a little bit more affordable, like the Avinis and the Podium Ones, like even that Sena edition rig was like $20,000. You know what I mean? It was gorgeous. So
Yeah.
it was cool to have all of the professional grade rigs, and like Simcraft is the official rig of NASCAR, because of the accuracy. Really cool how that gyro works. But you had GTR simulators there. You had all the guys with affordable rigs. Like there was rigs there, $4,000. You were walking out with everything you needed. So it was really cool how you put that together because it felt like it was for everybody. It was for the average user. And I know we were talking about the whole population of console drivers that were there and getting exposed to this stuff for the first time, and looking at what our next step was going to be, so talking to Built PC, talking to Alexander PC and Corsair, like it felt like you had all the bases covered. Like, was that the vision, or did it just kind of uniquely come together that way?
I mean, that was definitely our goal, to really diversify the lineup of exhibitors. I think, you know, the brands that you saw were the ones that, that absolutely believed in the vision and wanted to be a part of the event. So in some ways, I think, we were lucky and we were grateful that they wanted to be a part of the show. I mean, we reached out to like thousands of brands. I mean, I have this super long list of like companies that we felt, would be a good fit for the show, and it was hard. I mean, it was hard being a first year event. I mean, as you can imagine, there there was a lot of skepticism. They're like, well, we don't know this show. We don't know this person. I mean, we're
Right.
talking, to this person who's selling us on
Hey, you
the
got this
idea of the
firefighter
show.
out of Chicago.
Yeah, yeah. But thankfully, and this is I think why everyone, that was some of the not criticism, but like one of the comments was, boy, it's really sim racing heavy. And it was like, well, yeah, I've been a part of this community for such a long time. Like that's where I had the most amount of trust built up because of the league, because of the relationships. I mean, people could go back and see like, oh, okay, well, he does have a track record. He is part of this. He is a passionate guy. And so a lot of those brands were the first ones to step forward. And from there, things started to branch out, and then that's how we were able to connect with some of the, the custom PC builders, and then we started to get in, some of the flight and a little bit of VR. But yeah, we want to see like flight and VR, like that representation grow. We'd love to see more of the farming community, more of the space, like the space simulation community, like Elite Dangerous and Mech Warrior. Like the BattleTech universe is something that I'm very fond of, have a long time history with. We'd love to see more of that. So yeah, I mean, I think it just kind of happened, like, I mean, I reached out to so many brands and we had so many great conversations. I think naturally some of the skepticism, or like, for example, a lot of companies, they would say, well, hey, this sounds great, but we'll jump in when our
Yeah.
competitor jumps in. So then it
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
like trying to get, they're both sides are sitting on either fence saying like, you go first, no, you go first. And it's like,
Yeah.
guys, if somebody doesn't jump in, then neither, so it was just this kind of back and forth. And I think what's beautiful now is now we have the visuals, and you could just go on the internet and see like all
The
of the
second show
content.
should be much easier than the first show. Definitely.
Yeah.
OP was saying he loved the show. Chris Woods up in here. Iris still hanging out. Blank, Santa Miguel, Octane, Quick Shift. I love you guys. Thank you guys for coming out. We see you guys. I think for you being a pioneer in this space, for you to take that on your shoulders, I guess we got to dig into the background of why it was so important to you. We did mention that for over a decade you managed an iRacing community. And I was kind of looking back at the website and kind of reading about it. We have a couple of graphics, I believe, that kind of show your love and passion for race history. I have a picture here of you standing in front of what appears to be, one of the old school F1 cars. And then, being out at the tracks. And so obviously racing is very important to you. Kind of walk us through this lifelong passion for racing, so people kind of understand, like, why is it that George was the guy who made this happen for the first time in like American history?
Wow, that's awesome. And just to hear that is, I don't know, I'm just a humble guy. So, but I guess in some ways, hey, somebody had to do it kind of thing. But, just a longtime motorsports fan. As we talked about the Midwest, I grew up as a child loving IndyCar. And so that was my first love in terms of motorsports. So like some of my like earliest childhood memories was just watching the Indy 500, in front of like the old wood grain like TV, sitting on the floor and
Like
just
click,
being
click,
like,
click, clicks.
yeah, just completely, just I don't know, just I fell in love with it and being in awe and the wonderment of it all. And grew up watching IndyCar on TV, and then also like in a time where, there's, you found out about the races and everything from like the TV guide, and it just, you know what I mean? Like there's no internet, and then just
Here you got like the
slow.
Sunday booklet.
Yeah, yeah, but just grew up watching IndyCar, and then like that was the thing though. Like there was no one else into motorsports in my group of friends or my family, so it was something that I, enjoyed privately. Um, and then like longtime PC gamer, longtime console gamer, just gamer in general. And I played some of the very early sim racing titles. My most fondest memories were those from the studio Papyrus. They made Indy 500, the simulation, IndyCar Racing 1 and 2, which, as David Kamer from iRacing, like that's him. Like he's the godfather of sim racing, in my opinion. And so he's part of that design team. And again, just kind of going through like the evolution of gaming and PC computers. I just didn't have anyone to share this with. And then it was like one night at like 2 a.m. I'm like, this is probably somewhere around like 2012, late 2012. Like I just do a Google search, like sim sim racing or sim racing simulator, because I was like thinking about the old school stuff. And then
Yeah, and it was
up pops
probably very few hits back then too. We're talking, this is 15, 14 years ago.
yeah. Yeah. So iRacing pops up, and like I'm like, what is this? You know, I'm staring at the screen with like my jaw is dropped. I'm like, what? And so I was like, this is amazing. Like going through like all these emotions, and part of it too, I was kind of upset. I'm like, how did I not know about this? You know, but anyway, like I jump in. I'm like, I have to be a part of this. This is amazing. Look at this. Like, and they had the IndyCar. So that was my goal. Like when I joined iRacing, like I wanted to race the IndyCar. So I ran like the public servers for probably like a good year and a half. I started meeting people, had like a small community of friends that we would join like the public races at the same time on the same nights. And then it was like, you know what, man, I love racing with these guys and gals. Like we need to do this to get like, let's make a league, you know? And so that's kind of where the idea came. And just the idea of like building a community. And so those early years, like that's really what we did. Like we were trying to grow the space and welcoming new people. And it just kind of grew and grew. And then, you know, the idea was like, how can I give back? Like ultimately, I think that's what the expo is about. Like, how am I sharing like this love of motorsports and sim racing and gaming with everyone else? And that's the thing, like in the league format, there's only so many people that I could reach, you know. I mean, we had a group of maybe like 120 people, because at its height, we had like 3 separate championships. We did the IndyCar, we did the Lotus 79, and then we did the DW12, which is basically we were kind of like running like every generation of like open wheel. And then we also did do some sports car stuff. But yeah, it was like, how can I share this with just the broader community? And that's really kind of how things started. But it was a great time, and it was a lot of work. And I think in a lot of ways, like that prepared me for what I was about to endure, and like the work that it took to put the expo together. I mean, I don't have a marketing background, I don't have a business background, but these were things that I learned kind of on the fly, like seeking sponsorships out and talking to, you know, marketing professionals and heads of companies and all of these things. And also too, I think my background, like being a paramedic, I mean, you can imagine like the thousands and thousands of different people that I've talked to, sometimes in like their worst moments and
very distressed situations.
Like, yeah. So
hi, I'm George. I'm here to save your life. That's gotta be more pressure than how you doing. I'm George. You know, I'm looking for a sponsorship for the Sim Gaming Expo. I mean, when you're in the business of saving lives, man, I think that your prerequisites are probably in tune right there. Definitely for first person introductions, man. At least for handshakes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's stressors, I think, in both sides. You know, it's kind of tough to compare, but I tell you, sometimes, you know, just getting ready for big meetings, you know, like I'm feeling the adrenaline going, like, okay, don't mess this up. Don't mess this up. This, you know, there's a lot at stake here, you know, in the same way, I don't know, you know, you just, in the moment, you just do, you know,
handled it well. I remember at the expo, just trying to even I came up to you one time and I was like, hey, George, I got my bags with me. Is there anywhere I could put it? And you were like, oh, we don't got space for bags. And you looked up at me and you were like, oh, you're a special guest. Go tell the ladies up front you can put it in the back. And it was just, and then I was like trying to get a picture. I don't know if you know, but I had to leave out early Sunday morning. So I made it a point to come back because I knew I hadn't got the picture with you yet. So I came back Sunday morning just to get that picture. And it was funny because that's when I really got some time to hang out with your family, because I was standing at the front like, you know, where's he at? Okay. You know, I know he's busy. But, and the ladies were like, oh, he's going to make it. You know, so I was standing out front for probably an additional, I don't know, like 20 minutes, like, oh man, I'm really pushing it. And then you came around the corner and we're able to get this picture, man. So I was watching you just move around nonstop. So I imagine how many steps you must have taken in that 3-day process. But what I didn't get to see was like the conclusion of the expo. I got to see the competition and Matt Malone obviously out there killing it. It was awesome to meet him. Awesome to meet all the content creators. But how did it wrap up? You know, was the breakdown for that? And I mean, because there's so much that went into it. I'm sure getting out of there was just as stressful as getting in.
Yeah, you know what? It was, but I think it's a lot easier moving out than in, you know? You know what? It ended well. I definitely I was exhausted. You know, my heels, you know, from all the steps and everything, my heels were like numb for like a couple weeks afterwards. Is just like I
I
don't
think
really
all
feel
of
the
us were
bottom of my
dead
feet.
from
Yeah.
the little bit like me. All of us were talking about like we're in recovery mode for like 3 days after getting home.
Yeah. But you know what? The thing that was nice is that so for example, all of the cockpits, they got to stay like pretty much fully built together and they were palleted and shipped off. So it was like, okay, that's a lot easier. And then Source One, you know, they were handling all the pipe and drape and the carpeting. And then we just, you know, I don't know, like cleaning up the offices and getting all like the PC gaming area, like getting all that stuff boxed back up. Like some of it was a little hectic or chaotic because we had less time. Like we had to be out by Sunday on like the other hat, like on the right hand side of the convention center, whereas the left hand we had till Monday. So
Oh wow.
that really, yeah, it really intensified things. And again, like those are things that we're fixing for next year. And again, that
And
was
that
really
convention
more
center
so.
was packed. I mean,
Yeah,
it was packed. We had a
Saturday was a good day.
full wedding that was going on around us, which was kind of cool because like you walked into the expo and it was like 1,000 people were dressed up to the T for this beautiful wedding, and there was, you know, amazing cars out front because I mean they had some money. There was, I don't know if you got to see some, and I know you were on the inside, but on the outside there were Ferraris lined up, old school
Wow.
Cadillacs lined up, just. And for the people who are at the expo know what I'm talking about. It was a really cool environment. And then you kind of like walked out of that world into like our playground, like our heaven. It was like, oh, freaking NASCAR sitting over. You had real life cars in there. You guys had the S2000, the Alexander PC, and the built PC cars, the driven dynamics. I mean, that was genius putting that one right up front. I mean, I don't know who planned that, but I mean, it was an awe. Like you walked in to go see things, and you just got stuck looking at the driven dynamics rig.
Yeah, I think that was you know, they know their plans, the marketing teams and all that. I mean, you know, Simucube and GSI and Houstonfeld and like Alexander PCs. So those were like our main big sponsors, and then obviously SimLab as well. The ones that you saw up front, I mean, they kind of got those choice spots because they're the ones that supported us with all of the gear that you saw in the competition area. Without all their help, we don't have the cockpits, we don't have the pedals, we have nothing. We don't have a competition area. So they really stepped up in a big way. And so that was, you know, again, another way that we could, you know, give something back to them by putting them in like the premium spot, like right up front and center. So as you know, everyone was walking in, like they got a great deal of exposure. So
For
that was a
sure.
little bit, you know, the reasoning behind that. But
So
yeah, I mean
2.0, what are we looking at? I know that I'm on the Discord. I'm watching kind of the updates coming in. It seems like you didn't skip a beat. It was like as soon as this was done, you're working on, you know, 2.0. You're working on next year's show, which I believe's going to be at the same place, right?
yeah, that's our goal is to keep the show at the Schaumburg Convention Center for, you know, till basically like they can't fit us in there anymore. And so that, I mean, obviously that means we have, you know, at least a 5-year
That's
plan
a good problem to have
just,
on your
yeah, to
part.
just keep growing that space. Yeah, next year we're actually looking at having the entire convention floor space. So it would actually be like you talked about like having more places to lounge and everything. Like it would be just us. It would be just the Sim Gaming Expo in that space for that weekend. Tentative dates. We are not locked into our contract yet, but we are looking to sign soon. It's looking like the 18th, 19th, and 20th of September. The reason being is because of things like we talked about, like having extra days for move in and move out, making life a little bit easier for the exhibitors, for us as the show promoters. That was what was available to us. September, we feel at this point is where we'd like to be. Obviously, we're just now like a week or 2 weeks, a little bit deeper into September.
I mean, weather-wise, it was like perfect because
Yeah.
I mean, I got to wear like my hoodie and jeans, and I wasn't, overly hot. It's a beautiful time of year to be in Chicago, so you definitely got that on lock.
And the other thing too that I was going to mention, that whole area surrounding the convention center. I mean, it's already a beautiful suburb,
Yeah.
but they are pumping like millions and millions of dollars. It's basically turning into a huge entertainment district. They're going to call it like 90 North. 90 is like the expressway that flanks the convention center. But here's the other thing: like they are finishing up an Andretti karting and games facility. That, I mean, it's like walking distance. They're putting a pedestrian tunnel from the parking lot to the convention center. That's how close this facility will be. So again, for like those sim racing fans, now you've got a karting track like right next door. So it just,
and you're bringing in, I mean, you brought in what, 1,900 attendees to that show. I think it was over 1,900 people, not to include everybody else's. Cause you're bringing in, and I'm sure next year is going to be, it's gotta be better. Year number 2 is always better. And just being around the trade show circuit and kind of watching, these things take place, Schaumburg has to be very grateful for an event like this coming in, because it's bringing a lot of, boots on the ground. And, once the show's over, I mean, we were hanging out at Buffalo Wild Wings. We're hanging out at all the local restaurants. There was, after parties going on, people hanging out at the hotels. It's definitely a revenue maker for sure. So I think I'm really excited. I know people in the community. I see Blankenship. I see Led. I see Carp. What's up, y'all? Ricky Rez. Good to see you guys. McGose is in here. I know people are excited to see these things start popping up more and more. Have you had any, planning or thoughts about getting something over on the West Coast, or is it always going to be in Chicago? Like, where's your brain at with that?
I mean, I'll leave everything open. Right now, I think what we're trying to really do is to get a really good foothold with our show, and really get a core audience where they're committed to going no matter where it's at. So I'd say give me a couple years. Let me get this thing really established. Let me get it to the point where it's that must show, like you can't miss it kind of thing, especially for the exhibitors too. Like when we're able to bring them back year after year, and we've really, like I said, just kind of established ourselves as kind of like one of the shows that you just can't miss. I think that opens us up to being able to travel to other places. I mean, strategically, Chicago here, it makes a lot of sense for me because this is where I'm from. My partnership with Source One Events, I mean, their home base is also here in Illinois. And the Schaumburg Convention Center, they've been very, very good to us. They've really, they've taken a role, I think, where it's not just like, oh, here, we'll rent the space to you, and then, that's it. Like they've taken an active role in the success of this show. And so I think, again, there's a sense of loyalty there. I mean, that's kind of a lot of who I am. So I would really, like I said, I would love to grow out the show, to the point where that facility just absolutely cannot hold us anymore.
Yeah.
And at that point, then we'll see. It's like,
I mean, there wasn't a lot of free real estate at this show. And if, like, again, I know from the content creators perspective, and thinking about all the people who are in the chat, a lot of people that actually went, and just our conversations after, and my conversation with you is having places to do our interviews, having little, even little kind of boxes or just little stations where we can all kind of stand side by side and cover it. Because one of the genius things that you did was empower the creator at this show. I know I did a podcast there. iRacers Lounge did a podcast. Matt Malone did a podcast. Chicane, Apex. So many people did a pod. It was almost like you needed 2 of them. next
Yeah.
time. And then you had the lounge, you had the kickback. It was, and even kids were running around having fun playing pinball games and things like that. You had the VR going on, which was another nice space. There was food there. You could sit down, you could have a beer, you could kick back. It was really an amazing social place. And I think one of the things that you did well was inviting the creators and putting a spotlight on the creators. And do you think that that's going to be, another, are you gonna try to grow that even more for the next show and trying to get more and more creators out? Like, how did you go about reaching out when it came to creators?
Yeah, well, first off, I mean, the creators really, they're at the heart of the community. They what I like to say is like they have their finger on the pulse of the community. So we definitely wanted to connect with them, because again, outreach was so important, especially for this first year. So and we wanted to bring value as well to those creators to help them grow and help them expand their reach, as well as like the businesses. So that was kind of like the objective behind inviting so many creators out. We wanted to really, just celebrate together and collectively help expand the reach, help get the word out there. So absolutely, yes. The idea would be to bring more creators to the show, and welcome them, because again, like as look at now, like and that's what I told a lot of the exhibitors. The impact from the show might be more so after the show,
Yeah.
because
I mean,
now
it's
it's
still
like,
radiating. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
look what's I've
It's
seen you on like 3 or 4 different interviews just about the show. I don't know, maybe I don't know if this is the first one since the show, but
it
I
is.
mean, there's a ton of content. Think about every creator that I know that was there has a Sim Expo video. I mean, the exposure to those companies, and I've talked to several companies since the show, and just like, hey, there was 1,900 people that were there physically, but there are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views on the content after the show. And I think building up to next year, I have a feeling you're going to pack out the Schomburg Center at show number 2.
That would be awesome. And you know what? Again, like just kind of looking back to like the first day, it was to me like it was such a special moment, like standing there before the doors opened and like everyone was like lining up and like this crowd was forming, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like we did it, and like welcoming everybody in. And I want more of that, I mean,
We all
it was
want
so
more.
infectious. Yeah. I
We
know.
want access to these. How else do you get access to rigs of that caliber?
Yeah.
I mean, where else do you find them? They're not like at your arcade. They're not, sometimes they're at a racetrack, but then you have a line of people that are doing that, and you don't get that interaction. I mean, we want some more, man. We definitely want some more. I think even on a smaller scale, just building a community around that. I'm sure there's people out there that want to network with you now because you did such an amazing job. I hope to be an ambassador to that growth because I had such an amazing experience myself. As far as like racing goes since then, I know you had the full competition. That's one thing I wanted to talk about. The competition that you had there, like that was a huge attendance drawer. Like the seats were packed. And I don't know how many seats you had out there, but you only had 15 rigs set up for those races. Maybe I think it was 15. Had 3 different races going on. Tell us like where'd that come? Where the competition side comes from? Because that was another genius point. This expo wasn't just about the equipment; it was about actually seeing people compete.
Yeah, you know what? I think again, just being so involved with the league aspect for such a long time, and competition again, it was at the heart of why I wanted to even do the expo. It's where it all started. So we wanted to make sure that it was, that it had a strong presence at this event. And so I had been to other shows, and a lot of times you might see like 5, 6, maybe 8 cockpits. And as everyone knows, I mean, it's really hard to have like a good race with like 8 cars. You have a turn one incident, it's over. I mean, and so like I'm like, we need to have more rigs. And thankfully, all these companies like they stepped up and they answered the call to provide us with this equipment. So 15 is where we wound up. And then we obviously, we had the production team with the cameras and the laser projector. You saw like the big screen and everything. So we wanted to take, like, that's kind of what I was going for, like
No,
that
it was
excitement
wild.
and everything. Yeah, and just bring that to a live format. In terms of the competitions, I mean, I don't know. I just, again, it was part of the community aspect. Like I met with so many of the guys from the MX5 community. MX5 all day, Auburn
Shout out to
Kyle and
Travis.
Zach B. Like
Yep.
all those guys. That every night, like I'd go and watch them, and while I'm like typing an email or working on something, like I'm sitting there like watching their streams, like I'm like, come on, guys, we got to put something together. And Auburn Kyle and MX5 all day, like they really took the reins and helped organize the MX5 competition. So they played a big part in bringing that to the show.
Yeah, I don't even know how
Uh,
those guys were racing because again, like the night before, they were up all night building rigs. Like I saw Travis just working his butt off trying to get that
yeah,
thing going, man. And shout out to Matt Malone who came out there and crushed it. That was awesome having him out there. You had a lot of streamers out there that were competing actually, but I mean the competition was really amazing. You guys had, I believe it was that the iRacing was in that, and you guys had a whole competition leading up to that, right? Like a qualifying.
yeah. So that was our challenge series with the Porsche. That was sponsored by Simicube. Yeah. So what we did is we had a time attack that was up on iRacing for about 2 weeks' time. We had like 600 people put in laps, and then we took the top 75 fastest who basically had proof of tickets or like travel plans. Basically, we made sure that they were going to be in attendance because again, this whole thing was going to be a
Yeah, you
tournament
didn't want to have empty
for life.
seats.
Right, exactly. So from those 75, we did like 3 online qualifying races, which brought the field down to 30. And then those 30 people, like we had a tournament there that took place over the entire weekend. And it was amazing. And again, like big shout out to the team that was there working the competition area all weekend long. So those were actually longtime friends and iRacers, people who were part of the Lionheart Racing Series, as well as Impact Sim Sport. There was one of their members there, Jared, who helped out, and those guys just did an amazing job of just making sure that the right people were in the right seats at the right times, that the races were ending and beginning at their coordinated times. I mean, can you imagine that? Because we had servers, they were built and they were on a time schedule. So if you had like one group that was like overlapping or running too long, it would mess everything up. But those
Well,
guys,
yeah, you had
they
a
did
full
such an amazing.
management team there, and I mean the commentary, the coverage, it felt. I mean, it's crazy to see how you guys were able to bring it together, and it looks so seamless as the expo was going. But like before and after hours, like having the special guest pass was the way to go because you could see how everybody was like, "Whew." That was
Yeah,
tough. Like, way to go, team. Good job, guys. Like, we
yeah.
did it.
Yeah, and again, like also to shout out to Hyperion Racing and Impact Sim
Yeah.
Sport, like those guys behind the scenes, like they were there helping organize. So like that whole challenge series, that got organized in about 3 weeks time, which
Dang.
is insane. Like just knowing like the amount of work like in the off season for like my league, it would take a good 3 months to get everything put together, and we did it in like 3 weeks. Now it wasn't like we just said, "Hey, let's do this in 3 weeks." It just everything. There was so much work. It was finally like, oh my gosh, a window opened up. Like the competition's like, we got to get this going. And again, like those guys stepped up, and I feel like it was a success. Everyone
Yeah,
was
and
happy.
it's another one of those testaments to like how hard you guys are willing to work and the faith that goes into it. I hope when people are considering coming to this next expo from a vendor perspective that you don't get any hesitation at this point. You know, whether there's competitors there or not, I think it's just it's going to be the place to be, and I think it's going to grow, and I think it's going to be a trendsetter because people want this. Like the community wants this. We want these, and we've looked over. You got a big expo in Germany happening. It seems like expos in the UK and across the pond are happening all the time because that level of racing is very true and close to their hearts. In the United States, I think it's growing rapidly, and I think the availability of technology to, your general, we were talking like, these middle-aged guys, for $5,000, you could take yourself completely out of your world and put yourself into a totally different world. And we were talking about, that's part of why the community is so close, is because everybody kind of recognizes that we've made some level of investment. We were talking about your rig. You said that you're running an AccuForce Pro V2. You got the Fanatec V3s inverted, the Audi wheel. So obviously, like it's super true and close to your heart. When you're planning these things, are you going to be participating or just overseeing? Are you going to be in some of the competitions? What's the next steps for you as far as racing is concerned? Has this motivated you to race more, or are you more focused on the business side of it now?
Yeah, you know what? It's a little bittersweet because, the sim racing has been such a big part of my life for a long time now. And that was one of the things that I enjoyed most, is being able to race with my friends when I was running my league. That being said, like when it comes to the expo and the competition, for me, like the way I approached it is, you know what, this is for them. This is for you guys. This is like your time. You know, I I want to put those people on the stage and let them enjoy it and have their time to shine. I got to enjoy the rigs after hours. So we had a small group, and I was able to finally
I was
like,
telling Risk that's when the rigs turned
yeah,
up. Risk, everybody was there after
yeah,
hours. No, that's when everybody's
yeah,
like, break out the
yeah.
WRC, let's go.
So that was, for me, that was really cool, and I enjoyed that. But I don't know. I think as the show, as it hopefully continues to grow and be successful, that allows me to expand the team and be able to hire more people and have more people there. I would love to get it to the point where we have enough staff that maybe I'm not running around like a madman, bouncing,
Yeah.
where I could just sit there and not sit there, but just stand there and take care of things a little more like calm, and instead of like bam bam bouncing
Did you,
around everywhere.
you guys need
Uh,
radios for sure.
yes,
You need
yes,
radios to be
yes,
able to like communicate, because I remember when people are trying to find you, you'd see like you had like runners. You just see people
yeah,
in like these turquoise shirts just running. Where's George? Where's George? We're like, I think I
yeah.
saw him over there. Oh, there he is. There he is. And it was like, having conversations with you was really hard because you were constantly being pulled around. I'm fascinated because, from a networker's perspective, we were talking about this, like, I'm sure having the ability to communicate to this Rolodex of CEOs and community and vendors, there's such a platform there that I think you have. And I think the more that you network with creators, and I think the more that you get, your name out there specifically, I think you're going to get a lot of attention from us on our side, because we're expanding. This whole creator development is expanding. You have more and more people getting on YouTube. Sim racing is becoming one of those, and VR and virtual reality altogether, where it's flight sim or race sim or boating sim. You see the motorcycles are coming out. I've seen some like beta, motorcycle, simulators. It looks really cool. I will definitely jump on one of those. As far as like your own goals for your own rig, are you going to run like motion stuff with all these connections you have? Are you going to be able to build out like this master rig? Like, what are you going to do with this?
I may have the connections, but I don't have the cash yet. So maybe at some point, I mean, I'm always happy to test if anybody wants me to, but
Yeah.
no, the
Get this
reality
man
is,
some demos.
the reality is, space is a little bit of an issue for me right now, and time. I thankfully I've actually been able to to run a little bit. I guess right now you call this like our off season before things really like kick back into high gear with all the show planning. You've been running the Lotus 79 with my good friend over at the Onyx Racing League. A lot of the guys from Lionheart have kind of transitioned over there, so that's been a lot of fun. But no, I mean I don't know. I mean again, like I said, it's tough because I do miss it so much, but I also at this point like I feel, I and I asked for this, right? But I have this responsibility now to the community that like I have to give this my all. I can't, you know, I can't mess this up. There's just too much on the line, and I just want to bring the best possible experience that I can for everyone because people, like I recognize that. I recognize, the distance that people have traveled to come out and
Oh
see the
yeah, I went
show and
1,700 miles.
yeah, yeah. So you know what I mean? Like I have to give it my all. And so for me, like for right now, that means like, some sacrifices. And
Yeah.
and so some of that is just, my time in the cockpit. But it's always there and it's always, at in my heart basically. And yeah, once we get there and we're able to kind of grow things out and get some more staff, I think that's going to kind of ease some of the workload for me. And yeah, and then I can kind of get back to enjoying things a little bit
So
more.
what advice would you have? So I kind of gave you a little bit of my backstory with Gran Turismo
I'm gonna
has
post
been
blind.
go
Yeah,
ahead,
I
go
gotta
ahead.
post blind. Yeah.
What's
Sorry,
up, New
brother.
Doll? What's up, Crooked? Good to see you guys. Good to
It
see you
didn't work.
guys.
It's still there.
You're good, man. It adds a little character to the
Sorry,
shot.
guys. Yeah.
Um, a lot of us are console racers, and my community is very heavily console. And the expo for me, and I've been putting this out there, the expo for me was a way to kind of expand my mind and look into kind of the horizons as to what's the next step for me in finding that next level of immersion, that next level of competition, and respecting where I'm at. I went into the expo wanting people to know, like, hey, I'm very new here. I'm very new to this space. I'm bringing a crowd of people behind me that are just now being exposed to iRacing or LMU or Project Race, some of the upper level simulators, if you will. Like when I make that transition and going into iRacing and going into these new communities, what are some of the things to expect and what's some of the racecraft that you need to be aware of and just how to make this transition cleanly for guys like us and a lot of the people that are watching?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think, regardless of the platform, I mean, your time, even if it's like on the console side of things, it's good, because you're learning the tracks, you're learning, the racing etiquette. Like those are all things that, they transition regardless of sim. So I think that's beautiful. And we all had our start, and there's benefits and there's something for everyone at every level. And I think that's the beauty of the entire like genre and more specifically like with sim racing. But um, you know, I think just getting involved, like if you want to take like that next step, because I do feel that on the PC side of things, it's really where you're able to get the most immersion. And I feel like on the PC side, that's also where the most compatibility in terms of products and all those things like that. That's kind of I think where things kind of start to the bar gets raised. Um, but again, like even you don't have to have like ultra high end equipment to have a great sim racing experience or to be fast because as you know like there are people out there with what I guess you would consider like entry level gear, and they didn't have to spend a fortune, and they are competitive and they are fast. But
Yeah, I've seen
what's
that. Like
what's
people with G29s are still
yeah,
top in the world.
yeah, yeah, and the beauty of it is that again, like there's that progression track in terms of like the equipment, and as you get more into it and or you're looking for the next upgrade. You want to go from like a gear driven wheel to a belt driven to direct drive. Like it's all there for you. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I think really whenever a person is ready and they want to progress, like there's all types of like budget levels, and there's something for everyone. But in terms of like the console specifically, like there are things that you take from there into like, the PC side of sim racing. So
Yeah, and I think I hope that I'm inspirational to some people who actually watched me on the rigs at the expo, because I did. Without the only race knowledge I have, the only racecraft I have has been built off of console and Gran Turismo, a little bit of ACC. And going into ACC even was like, oh wow, like there's no ghosting, there's no, you can't. Yeah, I paused the game. My car was sitting in the middle of the track, and I felt like people were gonna have a heart attack. I was like, you can't do that, you can't do that, you're messing up the race. But I got onto those rigs and I recognized tracks. The elevation obviously was an adjustment. Realizing that the curbing is not something you can just freely cut, because those things actually have some violent ripples to them. But it was really cool to jump on and to feel like, okay, I'm not so in the dark as I thought I was, because
yeah,
there's a certain level of intimidation there. And even when you talk to PC that are simulators that are on PC, they're like, oh, you can't get away with that stuff over here, or it's going to be a huge change. Take everything and forget about it. And I don't think it's so much. I don't think it's so white and black like that. There is some gray area there, because I do feel like I'll be able to transition well. And, I'm just kind of coming up with the time. I'm, just starting to look at, whether I want to do LMU or iRacing, and kind of figuring out where I want to go next, because I don't have, endless money to just spend. I know they say iRacing is a little bit more on the expensive side. There's a little bit more of an investment there, but I don't feel as intimidated as I was. And that's after coming away from this expo.
well, that's awesome, and I love to hear that. And again, like we want we want to showcase like console sim racing. Like that was one of our goals. I mean, it was a little tough getting in touch with Sony and Microsoft, but we'd love to have those guys out. Um, I think honestly though, regardless of what sim you ultimately like go with on the PC side, you can't go wrong. There's they all have like their strengths. Obviously, I'm a little biased towards iRacing because I've been a member for such a long time. I think in terms of like the public matchmaking, like racing those lobbies, I think that's what they do like really really well. Their sense of community. There's always something going on, and obviously, like again, I think as long as the sim that you're playing, has the laser scan cars and tracks, I mean, that's ultimately where you're going to get the most realism. So, um, yeah, I think you can't go wrong either way.
Heck yeah. Well, coming from the man himself, I appreciate it. So again, you managed Lionheart for what, 11,
10,
10,
10, about
10,
10 years.
10
Yeah. Yeah.
years. If you guys haven't checked it out, check out that website. I was checking you guys out. Seems like a great team. Are you still a part of that? Is that something that's still going on, or is
Yeah. So right now the league is, it's on hold, which, there were some opportunities maybe to kind of like pass the torch, if you will. But ultimately, like, I don't know, it was my baby, and it was very difficult for me to just pass that along. I mean,
yeah.
I guess I don't know. I just try to run things at like a really high level, and I there's certain expectations that I put on myself when I
Right.
go into a project, and I think that if I couldn't be there to kind of steer things, or just to put that much effort in, I couldn't expect that out of someone else. So I think you know it was the right time, and I couldn't do both. My goal is, again, like as time eventually frees up, I would love to bring the league back, because again, like I said, it's something that I miss. I know that our core group, they're kind of patiently waiting and hoping that the league comes back. I just If I do it has to be at a high level, and so that's kind of an expectation that I, put on myself. And
Definitely
so I'm
something that
not
you might be able to
sure.
integrate into
Yeah.
the competition side of the expo as well. But just, you're obviously extremely passionate about it. And it's just another testament to how hard you work. I know you're a father, you're a husband, you're, a firefighter or you're a paramedic, you've managed this team, you're now managing a new baby with a Sim Expo and everything that goes into it. I'm sure that you're constantly communicating with people, which makes me that much more grateful for your time today, man. I appreciate you so much. We've had an amazing group here today. A lot of people that are meeting you for the first time. I mean, they've seen the pictures, they've seen, you pop up in different streams and little micro interviews and stuff. But I really hope Behind the Wheel was able to get to know you today, and hopefully we can share this around and just have some fun with it. But I'm so grateful that you came out today and spent the time with us. Is there anybody that you want to shout out to or just thank? And I'll kind of give you the floor for now, man. And just as we can wrap up here, man, take some time to thank those people that have really had your back.
Oh man. Well, first off, thank you to you and your entire team and your community for having me on. It's been an absolute blast.
Yes, sir.
And just the general sim gaming community, like, thank you for your trust. Just those of you that came out and supported us. I mean, it was absolutely huge. I mean, you guys helped bring a dream and my vision to life. And it's something that, again, this was always for fans by fans, and it's something that I want to continue growing together with the community, with the creators, with the fans and the enthusiasts. And so, like, yeah, as we kind of look forward towards 2026, like, let's see what we can build together. I mean, feedback and the community was a big part of the show's success. So I'm looking forward to, again, like, just working with everyone closely, to make the show, bigger and better for 26. Again, like, shout out to Hyperion Racing, to Impact Sim Sport, like those guys behind the scenes helping the guys, work in the competition area, my family, all of the companies as well for believing in us and for supporting us, in the way that they did. Alexander PCs, like, they provided 38 gaming rigs. Like, we don't have a competition
Wow.
area, without their support. Corsair, Zotac, who also provided equipment. Just all the other brands that I mentioned, those that help put together the competition area. Uh, yeah, I mean, and everyone, who you are, the Builders Guild, those guys and people who helped build the cockpits, everyone behind the scenes. There's so many people. I'd be here, thanking everyone for days. But Source One Events, I mean, yeah. So again, just grateful for everyone. Looking forward again to continuing to build relationships and friendships with everyone in the space. Like that for me, again, like, that's what I love so much about this side of things, like running the expo. So as you can imagine, like, running a league and, like, being in charge of, like, the rules and race control and those things, like, it's a different relationship. Like, there's camaraderie there, but you're always at the end of the day, like, oh, you're that guy who's, responsible for, handing out a penalty, or a black flag, or a wave, a yellow you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
it's a different dynamic. So this was kind of like my way of just reconnecting with the community in, like, a super positive way. And I just absolutely, I loved the experience. It was hectic. But again, like everyone, like, you guys really help, make a dream a reality. And I'm forever grateful. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the future. So
It's
thank
awesome
you.
to hear the genuineness in your voice, man, and to take that time, because when you really sit down and think about it, we're all dreamers, and men grow up, as little boys, and we lose so much as we grow up, that we just genuinely loved. And it's really awesome for you to kind of give us this space for us big kids to hang on to a piece of our childhood, and keeping us safe as adults, because I have a need for speed, and a lot of the guys on here and a lot of the people in sim racing have a need for speed, and this keeps us safe. Really the only injuries you're looking at is arthritis in the wrists,
Yeah, that's right.
a
That's
little
right.
bit of backache, some sciatica, but No, I truly appreciate you, man, and it was cool to get to know the person behind the expo, and that's really all this was for. So thank you for coming out to my little corner of YouTube, and hopefully it merges some bridges. And man, I look forward to what this can become. I know that we're trying to get a team out there to the next expo, and we're already trying to put our heads together as to what we should do differently. And you brought a lot of experience for us, and you gave us all just an eternal memory. Everybody that I've met and got the pleasure of hanging out with out there has become lifelong friends. Just this class of streamers and content creators that are coming up, it gave us a place to come together, and we're highly anticipating the next one. And for everybody out there who's doing sim shows and expos and stuff, man, you got my full support, because the more this community grows, the more opportunities there are for the rest of us.
I love it. I just, yeah. And I'm happy to be a part of all this, and just to watch it all unfold. Yeah. I mean, that bringing people together again is something that's always been like super important to me, and that sense of community. And just, again, like from that kid who grew up watching IndyCar and had no one to share it with, and now like just seeing like what my journey is kind of
Yeah.
transformed into, from starting iRacing. And I never, I mean, that was the last thing on my mind that I ever thought that I'd be doing, was like putting together like a show like this, and bringing this community together. But I'm,
It's
you
humbling.
know,
It's humbling to be
yeah,
that guy.
it is. But I don't know, in a lot of ways, I'm just I'm grateful to be in the position. I'm proud of, what we were able to accomplish as a community. And I'm really happy that people, that they had a good experience, because
Yeah.
that ultimately is what we wanted to do, is just make people happy, and see people like enjoying themselves. And it seems like from the feedback so far, like that's what we accomplished. So now it's just, how can
100%.
we just, let's bring it up another notch,
You're in the
and
happiness business, man, and that's
yeah,
a good business to
yeah,
be in. That is a good business to be
yeah,
in. Well, George, man, I thank you so much for being out here. I know you're a busy man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We've had over an hour. I feel like I could talk to you all day. We keep coming up with topics.
yeah.
I can't wait to reach out to you. Definitely stay in touch, man. I'd love to be an ambassador for the Sim Gaming Expo. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to see this grow and see it to many more locations in the United States and possibly worldwide. I pray that you have all the blessings, and to you and your family, your beautiful family, your wife, children, everybody that I got to meet, shout out to them, man. And we really appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much, and take care, everyone. Look forward to talking with everyone again soon, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. I'll
Thanks.
see you later, buddy.
All right, thanks.
Wow, what a good show, guys. What a good show. What a good show. You know what? I got to take a minute here to just reflect on 24 episodes where we've met 25 different fellas that have just a similar love, and we've found this space, and we're building this space. And for all those who support Behind the Wheel and the actual mission behind this podcast, and what I'm trying to do, and putting a face behind the names that we hear and we toss around. And you guys know my stance on negativity, and my stance on things that are happening in this world. We're just trying to create a positive space. And I feel even better. Like, I wake up in the mornings before these episodes, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting everything together. There's a sense of anxiety every single time before you sit down in the chair with who is almost a complete stranger. Like, obviously I've gotten to meet George personally, which was awesome. But I didn't know his story. And until this week, until diving in and finding out that he's a paramedic, he's such an unselfish person and such a hardworking person. And to be working a full-time job as a career paramedic and raising a family and managing a team, and to find the space to do something so special, it's crazy when you wrap your mind around human beings that are capable of so much. And just really awesome, really blessed. To everybody who showed up today, I see you, DCR GT Jersey. I love you, brother. Appreciate you. Shout out to Danger Close. Again, George, Risk, LVP, Ace, Crooked, Noodle for coming in. Shout out to all the guys who came out and showed some support. Deep in the Rocks, appreciate you. Blanco45, I love you, brother. Thank you so much for coming out. Let's see, Blank, thank you for coming out. Appreciate you. Santa Miguel, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Love you, man. Led finally made it out for a live. Appreciate you. Another BTW alumni. Ricky Rez Racer, thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Quick Shift, thank you for coming out. Mick Ghost made an appearance today. Lincoln Clay, again, someone who we got to meet in real life, which wouldn't have been possible without the expo. Chris Wood coming out. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. High Octane was here. Appreciate you. OP coming out. Thank you guys so much. I hope there's nobody that I forgot. If you made a comment, you got a shout out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Many, many thank yous. But I love you guys, man. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully I get some streaming. You know, Battlefield's taking up some time. I don't know if I'm going to stream Battlefield, but we'll see. We'll see how the community feels about it. Definitely looking out. I'm looking at iRacing. I'm looking at LMU. I'm looking at all these things. Got a lot going on. If you know, you know. But until next time, y'all, I love you. Viking King is out.
Racing souls of fire inside, chasing dreams where the legends hide. Through the turns, the glory is real. Behind the wheel, we feel the thrill. Papa's house, the crown shines bright. Crazy lanes in the dead of night. Austin GT and Rick B's rain. Grim and the crew driving it insane. Erratic twists and Marley's groove. Nani's grace with every move. Jackal flies and jesters grin. This is the race where we all begin. C20 wave, buzz the track. Touchies roll, there's no going back. Worries pace and TQ stride. Nil and digit, the kingdom's pride. Papa's house, the crown shines bright. Crazy lanes in the dead of night. Austin GT and Rick B's rain. Grim and the crew driving it insane. Legends carved on asphalt's face. Racing royalty holds the space. We honor them, we join the scene. Our favorite racers, the speed supreme.